Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you are all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Today we are back on the channel testing how viable is Control in the historic meta when you're either climbing to Mythic, though we are already in Mythic, or just trying to make your opponent's lives as miserable as possible with an infinite or near infinite amount of counterspells. So we are back on the channel testing Jeskai Control. So we did Jeskai really recent, but Jeskai's been my new favourite list. And normally it's Azorius when we've been playing. Since we sort of started the channel, it's been Azorius. But this set with Strixhaven just feels like Jeskai is the way I want to go. It's how I want to play the game. Burning your opponents out, but you've also got that control element at the same time. And so much card advantage. It's insane. And the amount of life gain built in is crazy. So that is why we are trying Jeskai Control instead of Azorius on the channel. We've still got Azorius coming back up, and we've got Dimir and Grixis as well has been suggested. But stay tuned to the end of the video if you want to hear a little bit more about that, what's coming up and when we're doing that. So I'm not going to go over a deck tech. I am going to briefly talk about some of the new cards that you see in front of you, just to sort of explain why I've included them and some of the little combos that can come from the cards. So if you don't want to hear about any of that and you just want to skip ahead to the games, we're playing either 4 or 5 games depending on sort of time and how long they last. Feel free to go down into the comments now where you will find links to all of the games, sort of timestamps for them with no spoilers. So go down there, spoiler free, and skip ahead to the matchup that you want to watch essentially. There's also a deck list down there, so feel free to go check that out if you want to give this list a go. And as always, please throw your suggestions for what I could do differently, maybe misplays we made throughout the game, or maybe you see things in front of you that you're like, oh no, Radio Magic, do not include this card, this is awful, or maybe ask me why I'm including a certain card before jumping straight down my throat. But essentially there's a few reasons that I wanted to make another Jeskai video really quickly after making the past one. And the main reason for that is one thing that was pointed out to me after we did the last Jeskai video, but before we did the Is It video, that I wanted to include in this list. And we'll go on to that first, I guess, because there's 2 reasons. And that's the Prismari Command Narset combo. And the idea is, I explained this in the Is It video, one of the viewers pointed out that making your opponent draw in their upkeep is actually a real thing when you have Narset out. Your opponent essentially draws and then discards 2. They can only draw 1 card with Narset and then they have to discard 2. If your opponent has no cards in hand and you have a Narset down and a Prismari Command in hand, you can pause on your opponent's upkeep, make them draw 2. They have to discard 2 straight away, so they end up with no cards in their hand, and then they skip their draw step essentially because Narset doesn't allow them to draw. Narset reads you can't draw more than 1 card a turn. So your opponent essentially does not get another turn. That's it. They're out. As long as you can keep cycling Prismari commands, each one you do is basically free mana. Your opponent skips their turn, and then you either get to burn your opponent for 2 or make an artifact. Make an artifact. So yeah, it's a little combo that you got there. One of the reasons I wanted to see how it would do in my opinion, slightly stronger control list to Is It. Maybe I get some hate in the comments down below. There's an argument that I built the Is It list wrong as well, so there's probably better versions. But I wanted to see essentially how this combo would work with within Jeskai in particular. The other reason for playing Jeskai today is Lorehold Command, which is a card I didn't even realise existed. I really should have done my research into the Jeskai list before we played it. But 5 mana instant, and like the Prismari Command, you get to choose 2. Either create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible and haste until end of turn. Or it deals 3 damage and you get, or target player gains 3 life. I don't know why it reads like that, but essentially lightning helix something. Or you can sacrifice a permanent and draw cards. So you need to essentially ignore the second mode. I'm sure it comes up from time to time, but essentially we're mainly looking at options 1 and 3. We're making a creature and lightning helixing something. And sometimes we're going to sacrifice a permanent and draw 2 cards on top of something else. Maybe we need to kill something, gain a bit of life, and then draw into something else. So Lorehold's Command was not a card that I realised existed, but wow, when I've done my testing with I feel like this could be a real contender for a permanent inclusion in this list. And one of the reasons I think it might be a permanent inclusion is because of arguably one of the most improved cards, I guess, in Historic has come up is Torrential Gearhulk. This has just gone insane over the last maybe week or so. Torrential Gearhulk has just completely exploded, flashing back 7 and 8 mana spells. Yeah, Torrential Gearhulk is insane. But it turns out flashing back a Lorehold command with Torrential Gearhulk is also pretty strong at the same time. That being said, flashing back an Electrolyze, Absorb, any other instance is also really strong. This list has also been built with an extraordinary amount of instants. So, yeah, pretty much most of the cards in the list are instants, or they're ways to find instants, or just generally powerful cards by themselves. So Torrential Gearhulk is really, really good in this list. When I've done some testing, it's been phenomenal. The only thing we've got to be careful of is in the sideboard, we are running Rest in Peace and Grafdigger's Cage, both of which interrupt Torrential Gearhulk. So it is worth mentioning that when we bring in our Cage and Rest in Peace, it's almost always a straight takeout for Torrential Gearhulk. I say almost always, pretty much, but maybe there's some fringe cases where you keep it in. Also, I was hesitant to bring in Torrential Gearhulk originally just because we're running Search Cantor and Narset, and obviously both of them grab non-creature permanents, so they don't grab Torrential Gearhulk. So we'll count when we're playing the games today how many times we don't hit because a Torrential Gearhulk passes us by and like a load of lands without an instant or sorcery. So we'll see how we get on with that. But overall, I have loved playing Jeskai, and I really want to share that with you essentially and go over it and enjoy the games together. Because if you enjoy some Jeskai, trust me, you are going to enjoy this list. It's doing everything you want to do, and the survivability of this is just insane. Like, we've got so much life gain built into it. We've got 10 pieces of like passive life gain built into the list that also do other things. It's not just like a revitalize, and then when you top Torrential Gearhulk on top of that, it's just crazy. And it might be worth noting as well, we have gone up to 27 lands in the list. If you watch the channel like even a little bit, you'll know that we sometimes struggle to hit our third land drop, which should not be a thing in 26 land decks, but somehow it happens for us quite a bit. So we've gone up to 27 lands in the hopes that we will find our third and fourth land drop. If we can just find our third land drop, Prismari Command might be able to bring us to land 4 and 5. So that is the plan. But anyway, I should make these intros a little bit more concise. I will shut up now and we'll move on to some games, and I will catch you again at the end with the wrap up. Okay, so some more Jeskai Control in a historic best of 3. We're currently climbing the ladder to see how high we can get in Mythic with Jeskai. So let's see how we get on. I think this hand is a keep. We've got Lightning Helix on 2 and then get to go 2, 3, 4, 5. So hopefully we hit our land drops. We are running 27 lands, so we've actually gone up on our lands. So, I mean, we can hope, but we don't always have the best of luck. Ooh, Shovel. So maybe we're against just like a Golgari mid-range list. If we are, then I quite like our odds. Probably just going to Lightning Helix this if our opponent doesn't do anything. Oh, opponent's going to make us discard. So if we Lightning Helix the Shovel now, which I'm sort of inclined to do, what are we discarding? I feel like it's like Prismari Command and Electrolyze maybe? Or maybe we're holding on to the command to ramp us. So maybe we're getting rid of the Wrath of God? Not sure. I think we're getting rid of Electrolyze. And maybe it's just right to get rid of... I think maybe Wrath of God or Lorehold's command. Just wondered about what else our opponent could play, really. I think it's more likely that we're going to be able to answer what our opponent's got with Wrath of God. So maybe we'll just hold on to that. And turn 5 we'll aim to Teferi rather than a Lorehold's command. So yeah, we'll just discard both. We could have also discarded Helix and then just gone to mop up the Shovel with the Wrath of God. Let's Lightning Helix. It might be correct just to mop up here with the Wrath of God, with the Shovel with the Wrath of God, and discard the Helix instead, and then we could have maybe held on to command. A little bit annoying here. The opponent's probably going to take Teferi. I think the aim was to Prismari Command and create a treasure, and then we can go turn 4 Teferi. But the opponent's going to keep us off of that. I think it's probably best to hold on to command, actually. Especially now our opponent has a Thoughtseize, because now we're sort of left with nothing. Yeah, especially since they had a backup Shovel as well. Yeah, so mistake on my part, but I think we're just going to hold on to this command now. Maybe we just want to draw 2, discard 2. Depends what our opponent does here. But at the moment, they haven't done very much. Okay, so yeah, we're just discarding, and I think we're going to hold on to command, since if we start to flood out now, at least we can discard them lands, try and hit something relevant. Yeah, we'll have to hold on to lands at the moment. Yeah, opponent's done a really good job of dismantling our hands. So far, we've had to discard 5 cards. Narset's a good one. So it's really likely our opponent will have a removal spell for Narset. But I guess we'll just go for it anyway. Memory Lapse is okay. Maybe opponent's going to put it on Narset. I don't think we're going to take down Narset. We might do the Prismari command in our opponent's upkeep. Try and make our opponent just discard 2. Then we've got Memory Lapse for the next thing our opponent's got.
Fury will only lead you astray.
Okay, so opponent's kicking this. Yeah, it's our opponent's whole turn gone. Strange that they attacked the Shovel first at Narset. Maybe they should have tried the Blood Chiefs first. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to tick down. We can upkeep, make our opponent discard 2 cards. We also get to create a treasure. Yeah, I guess creating a treasure is a little bit better, and then electrolyze. A little bit of a difficult situation because we can't do both of these in the same turn, because combining these 2 could take out the Shovel. But I think we just upkeep, do the command. So yeah, we'll target them to draw, and then we'll create a treasure. I don't see much point in us drawing and discarding. We could shock our opponent as well, but it's probably just better to create the treasure here. This way, if we top deck a Torrential Gear Hulk, it's a little bit better for us. And then our opponent's just left with 1 card in hand. They decided to discard the Blood Chiefs first and Bone Crusher Giant. So Bone Crusher Giant was an answer to Narset. So let's see what they decide to keep. Okay. May have been better for our opponent to keep the Bone Crusher Giant, and then I guess they're actually cut off of red, aren't they?
Such violence is upsetting.
Makes sense. Yeah, we're not going to use the treasure here. Okay, Lightning Helix. It's these sort of positions where we kind of wish we were in Azorius and we had a castle available. Sort of make advantage of our mana. Yeah, we'll just take 1 and see what our opponent's up to. Probably just Lightning Helix our opponent here just to draw a new card. Sorry, Electrolyze our opponent. Just going to shock them and draw. Wrath's not great. We're looking for something like Torrential Gear Hulk. Teferi would be okay. Even another Narset. That being said, our opponent's not putting us under an enormous amount of pressure. Just Lightning Helix here. Yeah, we'll still go Shovel. There's a rationale to go at our opponent there and put them to 15 instead. It sort of taxes their castle a little bit more. And we actually have quite a bit of burn in the list, so there's a good chance we could sort of take advantage of our opponent lowering their life total. But if our opponent's not careful, they might lower it too much. Do we let this resolve? I mean, we can memory lapse. I think we'll just let it resolve, because our opponent could just castle, get it back this turn, and then cast it again, and then we lose both cards in our hand. At least this way we get to keep an answer to our opponent's next threat they play. Draw enough memory lapse, that's fine. Opponent's going to lower their life total. Maybe it was better to go at them with the Lightning Helix. Yeah, we'll let our opponent have this. I guess we'll try and memory lapse the most expensive thing we can. I think Arcanist seems okay. We could have just maybe Wrath of God in our turn. Opponent's about to run out of life, though. for the Arcanist. And if they're going to cast, what are they going to cast at the graveyard? Assume like a Four.Vs maybe? Maybe an Inquisition. Are we stopping this? I was just not worried about this. We'll just wipe the board, save the Absorb for something that's going to get our opponent immediate value. And good decision as well, since we top decked the other Wrath. So yeah, a bit of a slow game. Both of us not really doing too much. Our opponents used a lot of their life. We've gone past actually quite a bit by burn, but if we top deck a Torrential Gearhulk, I think that's just game. It's just creature Planeswalker. Wasn't sure if they could put the bounty counter on our treasure. Yeah, Narset's quite nice. Shark Typhoon's good as well. Okay, so we're getting quite close to closing the game now. I'm not sure our opponent wants to activate their castle anymore. And we've got Absorb for our next, the next play our opponent makes. Which I think this is fine. So we could Shark Typhoon. If Narset goes here, opponent's going to gain 2 life, is it? 3 life, and they get to draw a card. If we absorb this, then we get to make a bigger shark next turn, and it forces Cheval to attack us for 2 more turns. And we're going to be sitting on like a comfortable 22, so I don't know how our opponent's going to win. It looks like they're just on like a Jund mid-range list, which I'm very confident that we can take down. Okay, so it's essentially another activation. Oh, that's not good. We'll take our Shark Typhoon. Yeah, so they've bought themselves a few more activations of their castle. I mean, yeah. Opponent's going to take the Absorb anyway. If we just gain the 3 life, just buys us a bit more time. It'll be interesting to see what our opponent's win condition is. Because at the moment it looks like they've just stacked their deck full of removal and value cards. Yeah, Searchers Cantor is going to... Unless our opponent can top deck an answer to Teferi and Searchers Cantor this turn, then I'm pretty confident we can take this. I think Search is probably the more pressing threat at the moment. I don't think our opponent's going to have many answers to that once it flips. Being in a 3-colour list, you're normally not running Field of Ruin. Okay, so opponent's just going to activate Castle, fall to 4. They're now within burn range. Got to be careful. Okay, so they get their Arcanist back. We have to discard our Wrath of God. And Teferi takes 1. So all things considered, pretty good position. We've gone past all of our Wraths now. We're definitely going to graveyard the Sulphur Falls. So we'll double activate Azcanta here. Unfortunately, Torrential Gearhulk goes past. Yeah, I think we'll just take the Lightning Helix. Our opponent is very close to being taken out, so we get to untap 2 lands. Yeah, I think we'll just shock this in. I'm sure it's not going to really matter at this point. And then if we hit another Lightning Helix, then I guess our opponent's dead. Have a look what they choose to flashbacks. If they go for the Four.Vs, take the Lightning Helix, and I guess we'll... Okay. Opponent can actually kick this, can't they, and take down Teferi. This is fine. Got Searchers Cantor now. Okay, Shark Typhoon. So it's taken us a second to close the game here, but no doubt we will get there. Scavenging Ooze is going to prolong it even further. Opponent can gain 1, 2, 3 life. Do we just want to cycle Lightning Helix, shoot them with Lightning Helix maybe, and just cycle Irrigated Farmland? And then next turn we go for Big Shark Typhoon? Or we could, I guess they're running things like Maelstrom Pulse and that. We'll cycle first. I'm not really worried about keeping the treasure. Oh, double Lightning Helix. Opponent might gain the life now. Yep, so opponent gains 3 life, back up to 7. So they really need to top deck an answer to Shark Typhoon this turn. And even then, hopefully Azcanta's just going to close it. So opponent's casting Four.Vs now. Let's cycle Shark Typhoon. I guess they're also casting Blood Cheese first. It just hasn't gone on the stack yet. Looks like our opponent can't gain life at instant speed, but there's not much we could hit to finish off our opponent. I mean, maybe we just cycle Shark Typhoon for like. I think we're just gonna let the Shark Typhoon go because they're gonna put Blood Cheese first on the stack as well. So we'll just Lightning Helix now, let them take the Shark Typhoon, we'll search Azcanta in the end step, and we'll go from there. But our opponent will have to take 2 life here to take the Shark Typhoon. And then, yeah, they're going to put Blood Cheese first on the stack. We choose not to cast it. Fair enough. So take a little bit of damage. Okay, last card to land. So we'll activate Azcanta the Sunken Ruin now and go from there. But yeah, there's a lot that kills our opponent here. And Lorehold's Command is one of them. Sweet. Let's go on to sideboarding. I don't think there's too much that we actually want to bring in here. I mean, like, our opponent's utilising their graveyard, so maybe we want to bring in Rest in Peace, but Rest in Peace hurts us a little bit. It's mainly in there to stop the Is-It lists and, like, decks that really care about their graveyard, but I feel like our main deck can kind of take this out. We could bring in the Cast Outs maybe, but again, like, our opponent, like, what are they on? They're kind of... They're just, like, utilising the graveyard, like, a little bit. They're just making us discard cards. I think as long as we can survive the early onslaught, which it looks like our opponent doesn't have a lot of pressure, I think we're going to be fine. The only thing I think we might want to bring in is maybe, like, Wrath of God in favour of, like, an Electrolyze, because Electrolyze didn't kill that much there, but Wrath looks like it's going to hit everything in the list, so... Maybe got to be worried about Planeswalkers, but we can afford to lose one more game, and I feel like we didn't really see anything from our opponent there that's too scary, that our, like, original 60 can't handle, so... Let's just run it back and see how we go on. Okay, game 2 against what can only be described as Jund Midrange, I guess, with like Scavenging Oozes and Chevils and other bits and bobs. This hand looks okay. Like Torrential Gearhulk's essentially a blank. This is going to be Four.Vs out of our hand, but the rest of our hand looks really good. We can answer early creatures that our opponent's got, can slow our opponent down with Memory Lapse, and we're on the draw, so it's quite likely we'll hit our 3rd and 4th land, and Electrolyze will hopefully show us into more lands, so I can see keeping this. Opponent sort of moped around a little bit last game, as did we, but we sort of got put off of it for a little bit. But unless our opponent can apply a ton of pressure to us, I think we're going to be okay. We've got tons of life gain in the list. There's so much built-in life gain just here, like Lightning Helix and Absorb. I don't know our opponent takes here. I don't think they take Torrential Gear Hulk. I think you leave that for a little bit. Should be able to handle that later on. Take Electrolyze. Maybe they're trying to keep us off lands. I can see them taking Lightning Helix or Memory Lapse here. Just one of our 2-mana plays so they can get something down. Opponents in the tank a little bit, just deciding what they'd like to take. Maybe they're mulling over this Teferi. Again, I don't think you're taking Teferi. Like, you'll find surely other discard effects. Okay, it looks like in our 27 land deck we might miss our land drop. But hopefully the life gain off Lightning Helix will buy us a bit of time. Okay. I don't think we're going to make the same mistake we made last game. I think we're just going to... Well, first of all, we're going to miss our land drop, but we're just going to leave this Cheval for a few turns because it doesn't really apply too much pressure. It's more of a card advantage engine. But when we're not playing creatures or planeswalkers, it's not really doing too much. Just hitting us for 1 a turn. That's a bit more threatening. Unfortunately, we don't have Absorb to stop that. Interesting in best of 3 to see opponents running Learn. Okay, it's an okay lesson. So they get to return a planeswalker or remove loyalty. Yeah, I think I'm just going to untap. Unfortunately, going to miss our land drop again. We're going to Lightning Helix. Well, we'll do it in the end step because we're only saving 1 damage, but opponent's applying quite a bit of pressure now. And us missing lands is pretty bad. I mean, we probably should have drawn a land at some point here. I think probably take out that Scavenging Ooze instead. We can't Lightning Helix the Cheval as well and then untap and Prismari command the Scavenging Ooze because our opponent will exile the Cheval. Cheville? How it's pronounced. Okay, we did hit land, so we have Absorb up now. Or Prismari command can at least make a treasure for next turn so we can wipe away the board. And we'll select us to draw and discard just because we need to hit our land drops. So yeah, we shall draw and create a treasure. Prismari command might single-handedly bring us back into this game. So 2 lands is pretty good. I think we're going to discard maybe Teferi. I don't think we need that. So we could just Lorehold's command maybe next turn. I guess it doesn't really answer what our opponent's up to. So we're probably using the treasure and tap land to wipe away the board. And then we probably want to follow up with Lorehold's command. Maybe we get rid of the counter spell because Torrential Gear Hulk I think is going to be more impactful. So yeah, we could actually, now we've drawn the second untapped land, I think using the Glacial Fortress to wipe away the board, or the Clifftop Retreat, and then next turn we can use Clifftop Retreat into Torrential Gear Hulk. If we want to get back a counter spell, for example, or we could just Lorehold's command and then go again. Just since we've got lands that aren't, yeah, I think we're discarding, yeah, since they're exiling our graveyard, I think I want to discard both of these so we can have at least some value from the Torrential Gear Hulk when we eventually get to it. But yeah, exiling our graveyard, a bit painful there. So Lightning Helix is okay. I'm going to probably try to elect Lightning Helixing this Bone Crusher Giant first, so we don't use our treasure. And we only net 1 life here. Oh, nice. Yeah, Memory Lapse would have been a good one on the Fragtusk Hub. Fragtusk Hub. Right, so... Yeah, so... Deal 3 damage there, we'll gain 3 life. We'll have to use our treasure, and then we'll have the 3/2 to trade with the 3/3 beast. And then we're kind of hoping to draw lands now. Our opponent must have like a... Oof, okay, maybe not. Opponent just has a ton of discard. One.Vs not bad. Going to start making tokens for us. We're just going to sit back, and the plan is going to be to trade with the beast, though opponent doesn't have any planeswalkers to get back, I guess, but opponent's got to have tons of removal available. This time, at least, we have one of our castles, so we can at least do something in the meantime. Oh, good one. We have tons of stuff to answer these sort of things. Just we missed our land drops for a few turns, so kind of struggled to answer a little bit. Oh. Okay, so just going to need a board wipe for that, really. Can make a 3/3. Can trade with this professor. See what our opponent gets. If they get like a removal spell or like a Four.Vs. Yeah, Four.Vs. Let's wait for them to put it on the stack first. So hopefully we draw into a land here. And hope our opponent didn't draw a removal spell for turn. And then, okay, second shot Typhoon. And then we at least get to trade with the Professor. Buy ourselves a bit more time. We don't find land. Yeah, so next time they'll be able to cast their big sorcery. So we can make a 3/3 and ambush one of these Arcanists. Opponent can get an Inquisition back, I guess. Let's wait for them to decide what they're going to get. Inquisition, and I don't think there's anything else to get. Wait, I guess it's best to wait for the Inquisition to resolve first. So let that go off. And then go. And then if we top deck to CMC3 or less card, then at least our opponent wouldn't be able to take that card. And we still get to ambush the Arcanist. There you go, protected Narset. So I assume our opponent just casts their big flashy sorcery here. Right after we draw the Absorb. And then our plan is to find a board wipe. And we did not. Gonna have to sit back and block, I think. I think we're just dead here, but... yeah, we boarded in one board wipe, so we have 3 more on the list. I think it's just been unfortunate this game, missing our land drops for too many turns, and kind of hurt us. Like I said, I feel we are relatively equipped to deal with what our opponent's up to. They might be using their lesson to finish off Narset. So our opponent gets to take the Absorb. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 we're taking. So we could eat the Inkling and then take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and fall to 1. But our out probably at this point is draw board wipe maybe. Could draw Lightning Helix, wouldn't be enough to take down the 4/4 though. So we'd eat this, fall to 1, Lightning Helix here. I guess chump block next turn. It's actually close. So we're going to take a natural draw step. If we eat the Inkling and we fought 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, fall to 1. What's our opponent got in the graveyard? Nothing to get back. So we'd be left on 1. And if we top deck a Lightning Helix, we can shoot the 3/2. Then we get to go to 4. And then I guess we chump block the 4/4 on the next turn. But that's an out. Lorehold's Command would obviously be really good as well. Our opponent's running Bone Crusher Giant, so that's worth considering. They've got 1 unknown card. I think we'll put ourselves to an out of drawing a life gain spell. So my opponent just takes Narset's Loyalty down here. Makes sense. And then we need to draw a board wipe, which board wipe isn't... It's a little bit worse, a board wipe with this play. I guess we get to attack back and bring our opponent's life total down to 7, so it sort of limits their ability to use their castle. But it puts us in pretty dire situation in the face of a Bone Crusher Giant. But as of Bone Crusher Giant, we haven't really seen anything else that's like really scary from our opponent. Okay, so we have 1 more draw. We could block and then activate castle, but that would be lethal. So running out of options here. Yeah, and that's going to be game. We'll see what our opponent does, because I've definitely played games where your opponent doesn't play around something. Though I don't know what they're playing around. If opponent hurries it along, then in theory they should just go to attack, because if we have an absorb here, we gain 3 life. Yeah, we'll concede now. So I feel like we've got good odds of winning this. I think we just need to hit our land drops and hopefully not mulligan that much. I don't think we need to bring in Rest in Peace and Cast Out. I feel like they're going to hurt us more than they hurt our opponent. Chandra's just a big flashy spell that we're probably not going to get to cast. So, on the play for game 3 against this Jund mid-range list that keeps ripping our hand apart, we're going to keep this. I'm not mulliganing it. I don't really want to mulligan against a deck that's tearing apart our hand so quickly. And lands are definitely the way to go. We've been missing a lot of land drops recently, so just keep these land heavy hands. Ooh, Citrus Canter's a good one. Yeah, it's deciding what colours we want. Maybe double blue, but we can always lay it next turn. So if our opponent Four.Vs us here, at least we have the option to just cycle irrigate farmland. Okay, so we get to resolve a Narset now. We'll try and flip this Citrus Canter as quickly as possible, because it's quite likely that our opponent's going to be able to exile our graveyard. Yeah, absorb looks okay. You've got to imagine our opponent has a hand hate spell here. Like tap land, hand hate spell, attack with Arcanist, hand hate again. They probably just leave us with Prismari Command here. Okay, they leave us with nothing. On the upside, okay, I think we will be activating this Narset again. So we have 4 lands in play. Okay, we'll have a look. Opponent has a Four.Vs in hand. I think we'll keep this. I think we're going to tick down Narset, just try and get some value. I feel like very much we're just trying to outvalue what our opponent's doing. And maybe an extra Narset is actually great here. We won't be able to play it alongside. I think we just play it and then our opponent takes the Four.Vs. Takes Lightning Helix of Four.Vs. And then that'll be the 5th card in the graveyard. The 6th card in the graveyard. Probably take Absorb. Yeah, we'll lay our extra land. And then they'll Four.Vs with Lightning to get the Lightning Helix out of our hand or the Absorb. And then we get to flip as Canter if our opponent doesn't answer it. I think worst case scenario is our opponent makes us discard 2, exiles our graveyard, and prior to that, Four.Vs the other card out of our hand. But at this rate, it looks like we'll be left with an Narset. Okay, so at least our opponent didn't exile our graveyard. And we've got 8 cards in there. Yeah, I think land is actually fine here. Because we're just going to be activating as Canter. Do we care about ditching Narset? Yeah, I guess if we get a counter spell, maybe. Teferi's good, actually. If our opponent couldn't answer Narsets before, there's a chance, yeah, they can't answer Teferi. And sometimes it's as simple as that against these lists. Like, we sort of dawdled around in game 1 and 2, really, because our opponent tore apart our hands. But it's only a matter of time before we find some sort of card advantage that can propel us into the lead. Yeah, we'll cycle Shark Typhoon on turn 2 if we haven't found a land prior to that. And hopefully Prismari Command will draw us into more lands. Electrolyze will hopefully answer something our opponent's got. And Prismari Command can always discard cards for Torrential Gearhulk as well. So we'll hold on to this and see how it goes on. Okay, Forest. Okay, maybe Gruul. Gruul with Bowmat Courier. I like our game 1 against Gruul. Providing that we draw lands with this hand. Prismari Command also, so we're going to take a bit of a beating. Prismari Command works out really well against Bowmat Courier. We should be able to quite easily 2-for-1 our opponent. Sweet, land was great. Going to take a bit of a beating here. Hopefully we don't see like a Gruul Spellbreaker. No, still another 3 damage attacker though. Yeah, we're going to have to shock ourselves here as well. Ugh. Guess we'll see if our opponent plays into, because I know a good opportunity to shoot the Beaumont Courier is in your opponent's upkeep because of the cards. Like if they cast something now, but I'd rather see if our opponent does anything before going to combat. And I guess we'll let them attack first, because they might be playing around and absorb here. I guess this is worse in the face of an Embercleave. I actually guess we're just dead to an Embercleave. So yeah, this was a mistake. This was a mistake. We should have done this beforehand, because if our opponent Embercleaves now, should have done this before our opponent went to combat. Like in response to them going to combat before they declare attackers, shot both of these. If they have an Embercleave here, it's just entirely our fault. Yep. So big mistake on our part. I assume our opponent puts on the Britannic Brawler and we're dead. Wouldn't have mattered either way, but we should have done that before our opponent went to combat. So mistake on my part. But against Gruul, I feel like we've got a good matchup against them. I'm mainly scared of the Roiling Cortex, the thing that prevents us from gaining life, but not all the Gruul lists run that. Questing Beast is something that we need to be a little bit worried about, so I normally bring in the cast outs against this matchup for that reason. Some of our worst cards in this matchup is things like Electrolyze and somewhat Memory Lapse as well. Electrolyze can answer a few of what things our opponent's got, but it's just like one of our least impactful removal spells. So there's a few things you can cut here. Maybe like a Memory Lapse, and it's either like Electrolyze or like Teferi. I like keeping an Narset to be able to dig for answers. Difficult. I think we're going to keep in the Memory Lapse actually, just as a quick answer on the play to whatever our opponent's got on turn 2. And yeah, maybe we'll just cut the Electrolyzes and see how we get on. Probably maybe want to bring in the Rafts as well. Probably want a guaranteed Raft. And cut a Shark Typhoon. Try and bring down our curve and survive, because if we get to the point where we're Torrential Gear Hulking or Teferiing or casting Shark Typhoons, then I think we've probably won the game then. Okay, so on the play against Gruul, and this hand's a little bit iffy if we draw lands. We're probably going to mulligan this away because I really don't want to lose to Gruul by not drawing our lands. We also just don't have Lightning Helix or Memory Lapse, which is something we really want in our opening hand. This is better. More lands, has our Lightning Helix. I'm not sure what we're discarding here. Maybe Prismari Command. Don't know if Shark Typhoon's going to be good. I guess it's more likely Prismari Command's going to be a bit more useful. Maybe put Shark Typhoon down. Just because Prismari Command has the opportunity to 2-for-1 our opponent with Beaumont Couriers. I think since we know they have Omcrop Crashers, it might be better to Lightning Helix whatever our opponents play here. Is that if there was a Gruul Spellbreaker, then we feel really sad. And then potentially deal 2 damage to something, then maybe create a treasure token or something, try and ramp out this Shark Typhoon, or just make a bigger shark, I guess. Okay, hopefully they don't have triple Burning Tree. Yeah. That's an okay target for Lightning Helix. Okay, so we now got Wrath next turn. Maybe we want to save Prismari Command for... I think we are going to use it, but we're going to take 2, 4, 5 here. I guess our opponent gets to Embercleave, but I guess if our opponent... We'll let our opponent attack here, and if our opponent wants to... Okay, they're not going to. Yeah, we'll just take it. See what our opponent does. Because we can just wipe away the board next turn. Okay. I think I'm happy to just wipe away the board. Costs us 2 life, but I think it's worth it. I don't... well, they probably exile our Lightning Helix. They chose not to. I kind of like saving the Prismari command just to... we'll play Triome and maybe make a 2/2 Shark here. I like saving command as an answer to Embercleave. Does it matter between a 2/2 and a 3/3 Shark? We put one Shark Typhoon on the bottom. Maybe we just cycle our land here, and a 3/3 is just better. Okay, I like to vary into Memory Lapse now. And it feels like the game's slipping away from our opponent. They didn't have anything to do on turn 4 and nothing to do on turn 5, so they might be a bit flooded here. But either way, we get to Memory Lapse our opponent's relevant play here, untap, and then Narset, and then we're sort of off to the races.
Let's skip to the good part.
We want a very healthy 16 as well. Like, I think Absorb here just locks it away. Turns it into a sure thing. So yeah, we'll let this go. But there's our answer to it anyway. If our opponent wasn't sure before, they know we've got it now. Yeah, I see no reason to let our opponent have this. Just delay. We know what our opponent's drawing next turn now. And our opponent's essentially locked out of the game now, because we get to, every turn in our opponent's upkeep, we get to Prismari command to make them draw 2, discard 2. So they don't get another draw step now. And we get that for the next, like, 3 turns in a row now. So yeah, our Teferi's going to ultimate before our opponent gets to draw another card. So we're pausing our opponent's upkeep. And this is one of the reasons Prismari command's in the list, because you just get into this state sometimes where your opponent's just locked out of it. Kind of safely just play another Narset here. We don't really need to, but we'll start trying to find Shark Typhoons and things more to close the game. I guess I absorb... yeah, I guess Lorehold's command closes the game as well. So yeah, just pass the turn. I don't know if our opponent can see it, but they're not going to get another... they're not going to be able to draw another card here. And we'll create a treasure as well. I guess we'll just, for the first one we will we'll destroy the Embercleave just to take all hope away from our opponent. Yeah, and then obviously our opponent doesn't get to draw, misses their draw step. And we get to do that for 2 more turns. And then by the time this rolls around, we'll either have killed them or found a Torrential Gearhulk. Or Lorehold's command, I guess. Teferi would have ultimated. It's just inevitability now. We'll deal damage to them, we'll gain life. Need to make sure we pause on our opponent's upkeep. Almost missed it. We'll deal 2 damage to them and make them draw. They draw 1 card, have to discard that. And then Teferi's going to ultimate now. I mean, we can wait 1 more turn. But if you're looking for a way to take control of the game, I mean, this is just like ultimate control. Your opponent doesn't get another draw step. So that worked out much better. Our opponent did flood a little bit and bought us time to set up the Narset Prismari command, little sort of combo-y thing there. But I don't know about game going into game 3. We really got to hope that we find Lightning Helix and Memory Lapse and maybe Lorehold's command to sort of buy us a bit of time to take over. Yeah, this hand's okay. I mean, Lightning Helix is going to buy us a bit of time. We're probably not going to cycle this cast out. We'll hold on to it. But it's really dependent on what our opponent has, so we'll keep it. Thing is, I wonder which one we should be hoping for, either Lana Royals or Pelt Collector, but to be truthful, both are just as scary as each other. So, There maybe is an argument too, should we have shocked in there so we could cycle to maybe try and find a board wipe on curve, but I guess we untap. We'll see what our opponent's got. I feel like we're taking out this Pelt Collector. Not sure. We'll see. This is... Power is greater. Opponent might be playing around memory lapse here, but you just got to go for it. Because ultimately the Scavenging Ooze, yeah. So Pelt Collector is going to turn into a 3/3 here. So maybe we just take out the Pelt Collector. Saves us a bit of damage now. Our opponent will have to invest more mana into the Scavenging Ooze. And we're going to take a bit of damage here. Memory Lapse is okay, but somewhat concerned it might be a bit slow. I might be electing to... we're going to obviously just see what our opponent does. If they go for the Ember Cleave here, then we'll... I guess we'll cycle cast out and memory lapse, and then our opponent will do the same thing again next turn. Okay, they're not going for it. Because I really don't want to cycle this cast out to try and find a land. Would have won an effective 8 if we had have cycled it earlier. Yeah, I kind of want to... So we can let this, we can memory lapse this. Our opponent will resolve it next turn though. I guess we just take our 5 for next turn as well. Oh, what do you know? Board wipe off the top. I think we're going to take the 2 so we can board wipe here. Saves us 5 life in the long run. Our opponent has an opportunity to like resolve a questing beast here, but at least we can like play Teferi, tuck. And then our opponent has to play a haster to answer Teferi, and we go from there. I think we've played against Gruul enough to know that this is one of the better positions we can be in. Okay, so opponent can turn this Scavenging Ooze into a 4/4. So I think we're going to shock in, tick up Teferi, and then hold up Memory Lapse. And then if we get to untap with Teferi, then fingers crossed we're okay. Because we will start to rapidly take over. Yeah, you saw game 2, like, our opponent game 2 had, like, I know they flooded a little bit. Okay, so they could have stopped Teferi there had they wanted to stop Teferi. Because they could take it down the Scavenging Ooze. I guess, yeah, they can make it a 4/4 and then shock it, but... Don't know, we'll see. Opponent, like, eats 2 things. I think we might... I don't know. So we're taking this 4... Not much we can do here. Need to find board wipe or Lorehold's command or something. Thing is, I don't think we want to memory lapse this. I think we want to draw an untapped land, cast out, and tuck. Because if we memory lapse this, our opponent gets the shock again. And then we're dead to one of their lands. Okay, so untap land. So I think we're tucking Scavenging Ooze, casting out the Bone Crusher Giant, and then memory lapsing whatever our opponent's got. Any reason to wait? Guess our opponent might be playing around Absorb. If we cast out now, then at least our opponent will know that we don't have Absorb up. Okay, so we'll do it now. We're not going to take 2 damage because it's obviously a triggered ability. Obviously. I say that sarcastically because it's definitely something I would miss from time to time. Okay, so 3 turn clock the Llanowar Elves. Okay, bit faster. We'll let them... Oh, yeah, Lightning Helix is hopefully going to just shut this away now. Say hopefully. We'll, yeah, the plan, I guess the plan is to cycle. We'll cycle now. I'm not sure if there's a reason to wait. Ooh, yeah, Double Lightning Helix makes me feel good about our position now. And this is just one of the things that I think, like, one of the reasons Jeskai has got maybe quite a bit more playable with the new Strixhaven cards, just because I think we're going to save the Lightning Helix. A 6-turn clock is obviously a lot different to a 2-turn clock. I think we're okay with our opponent just... we know they're drawing Scavenging Ooze next turn. Maybe we'll Lightning Helix this. They get a bit of energy off it, but I'm sure it's not going to matter. And then we've got the Absorb for the Scavenging Ooze. But yeah, I think this is one of the reasons Jeskai's got so much more playable is Lightning Helix. You see there just the strength of that. Like, it's just completely put us into a really, really comfortable position. And yeah, we're going to aim to close the game as quickly as possible. And we can make a 3/3 shark here. Ambush the Llanowar Elves and Memory Lapse the Scavenging Ooze. And then if we find a Prismari command, which we know we have a few, we're back in the same situation we were in last game where you're locked out. Yeah, opponent's giving us the good game. You got to see the writing on the wall at that point. But we saw game 2 there from Gruul. We made a big mistake game 1 and it cost us the game. So hopefully you're a better player than me and you can work your way around that. But you saw game 2. Our opponent had like double Burning Tree Emissary into... did they have Burning... Or maybe it was... Yeah, I think it was game 2 they had that. They had a reasonably good start. We managed to pull it around. And even there you see the power of Lightning Helix. Like, whew. Yeah, but yeah, let's move on to the next game. Lightning Helix, Memory Lapse, Electrolyze, and Prismari Command is where we want to be. So we're going to keep this. And we've got all of our colours with 3 lands as well. So pretty reasonable hand. Maybe Arclight Phoenix we're against. Maybe the Mirror Match. Could be a number of things. Probably going to see a Brainstorm here. Maybe. Okay, maybe not. Opponent's fetching first. I actually, whether this is... Okay, so it's like the new Is It list. With Magma Opus or Phoenix. And the fact our opponent's done nothing so far makes me think it's like the Magma Opus list. It's going to hold on, I guess. Just wait it out. This list doesn't run too many counter spells, but I think we have to hold our counter spells open. If our opponent discarded like a Magma Opus here and then... okay, going for Shark Typhoon, so I guess our Lightning Helix is of some value. If they discarded a Magma Opus and then went for the combo, they could get the Torrential Gearhulk, and yeah, all would go to crap pretty fast. Providing that is what our opponent's on. Probably just going to Electrolyze here. Just Electrolyze. Yeah, I guess we've got Memory Lapses. This is our counter spell. We'll just take out the Shark, ping our opponent for 1 and draw. If the opponent wants to use a counter spell now, I think we're happy with that, if they've got one. Triome, so... I don't know what this means. Hopefully we're just going to get to cycle Shark Typhoon here. I know there's like a Teamer Flash list, but I wouldn't imagine they're running 2 basic mountains. I think they just splash it, yeah. Just let this go. It's like our opponent is trying to combo off with Torrential Gearhulk. Don't think they can do it now because it's sorcery speed, but we'll cycle and make a Shark and then try and add some pressure on. Guess our opponent could Torrential Gearhulk, but into Prismari Command, I think we can beat that. I think that's fine. Okay, at least we hit our land drop for next turn. Not going to play Narset till we can hold it open with a counterspell. Probably just looking at commanding here, maybe discarding Lightning Helix and Wrath of God and make a treasure. So yeah, let's command. Guess we'll draw and make a treasure, and then we're definitely going to hit our land drop. I don't think it's worth taking out one of their treasures. So yeah, let's draw and we'll make a treasure. See if our opponent has a response. If they are running counter spells, they might want to stop this. Not sure. Yeah, I think we'll keep both our lands and just discard these. So we can't keep up double memory lapse, but I think we can play Narset out maybe. We're still representing Absorb as well. So our opponent's not in white. They might not have a Lightning Helix. I mean, they've got it. Oh, Peak Torrential Gearhulk. And Whiff. Do need to be careful though, because our opponent could be looking at comboing soon, providing they are on their Torrential Gearhulk plan. It looks like the list. Slightly out of range of Lightning Helix, and unfortunately this is going to take out a Narset. Okay, so opponent's gone for it. So yeah, we will attempt to memory lapse. Opponent could be holding up like Spell Pierce or Mystical Dispute. Oh, miscast. Okay, so opponent's going to get to do it. They get to do their bits. I assume they're going... oh, okay. They're not into the Torrential Gearhulk. They're into the Dragon. And then maybe they're going to cast an extra turn spell off of this. Okay, so yeah, my mistake. Thinking our opponent was on the wrong combo, but similar thing, we need to stop this dragon from resolving.
I was not prepared for this.
Not really much we can do at the moment. I guess we can cycle, try and hit a Teferi to tuck or board wipe. No, unfortunately not. I think we're in a position now where if our opponent hits an extra turn spell, we have to take. We're going to fall to 1. I don't really want to fall to 1 when they're Prismari Command. We're going to cycle actually for 1. We'll let our opponent search their library first. Yeah, so we have to stop this extra turn spell. Put this back on top. I do not feel good about this though. Yeah, I don't see the difference between cycling for 1 and 2. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. If our opponent has a removal spell here, we fall to 1. Has this got Trample? No. So we take 4 here. Yeah, and it's pretty much Wrath of God or Bust here. Okay, no, it's Bust anyway. It didn't matter that we had it. Opponent had extra turn spell. Sweet. Okay, so we know what we're against. This is a matchup where Grafdigger's Cage would be quite good, stopping our opponent from the dragon entering from the library. Are they? I don't know if they're on Magma Opus Torrential Gearhulk. It looks like they're not. We didn't see any Magma Opuses. So maybe we don't need Rest in Peace. But Cast Out could be quite good. I guess Wrath of God's okay. Test of Talents might be okay, taking our opponent's like key combo pieces. Prismari Command, like, okay. Electrolyze is going to be awful in this matchup. Lorehold's Command as well. It's quite quick at closing the game, but apart from that, I don't think it's too good. That being said, Lightning Helix isn't great as well. I guess like Dovin's Vetoes we want to bring in. Let's just cut the Lightning Helixes, and maybe we want to find room for these Mystical Disputes. Providing our opponent's combo pieces are... It's red. But we'll have Dovin's Vetoes, we'll have Absorbs, Memory Lapses, and hopefully the Mystical Disputes can maybe hit like Time Warps and other bits. Our opponent's on Teamer. Yeah, we'll bring them in. I honestly don't know how good they'll be. What do we want to cut? Maybe the commands. Maybe we'll like trim. Don't want all the Mystical Disputes. We're not certain on how good they'll be. Maybe Wrath of God just isn't that great. Like, it's good at clearing the board, but we're hopefully going to stop our opponent from gaining a board presence. So we'll cut one of them. It could be correct to cut all of them and bring in like mystical disputes and stuff like that. Maybe we cut like one more Wrath of God and bring in the mystical dispute, and then we have like cast out sort of acting like a Wrath of God in a sense, because answering their threats. But I guess if they got like Shark Typhoon, then that's going to work out pretty bad for us because we don't really have a way to deal with Shark Typhoon. So, yeah, so we'll leave in 2 Wraths and we'll run it like this. Chandra's also a suggestion. I guess opponents can have a ton of counter spells after boarding, so maybe Torrential Gearhulk's not going to be its best. We used up all of our time, but we'll bring in Chandra instead. Okay, so we are on the play against this Temur extra turns list, and this hand's okay. If we can bluff counter spells, then hopefully that'll be enough, and Prismari Command maybe can ramp us. If we draw extra lands, we can discard them. So we'll keep. I think we'll play out this Triome turn 1 as well instead of holding it to cycle. Can always like maybe do this on turn 4. I think you don't want to be cycling this for none, and making a 1/1 just feels a bit here. Maybe we can Prismari Command. We did bring in our Graph Digger's Cage, but our opponent showed us 3 Prismari Commands, so I don't have high hopes for it surviving. That being said, it's one of the reasons why against the Is It Magma Opus list we've decided to run Rest in Peace, because it gets around Prismari Command. Guess we'll just save the life. Life might be relevant in this matchup. Yeah, and I think if we get the opportunity, we will Prismari Command here just to draw, discard, create a treasure. Okay, so opponent could have Negate or Mystical Dispute here. I assume our opponent just lets this resolve. Makes sense. Opponent might counter this in the hopes that we tap down. Oh, so opponent's logic here might be counter this so we tap down. And then they can resolve something. But we shall do no such thing. So opponent's running Dwarven Mine as well. Maybe a little bit greedy, but just like that, maybe we're running the Triomes as well, just to cycle. Yeah, and they're running the Dwarven Mine, so they have extra things to sacrifice. Would like to make a shot. Oh, okay, yeah. It's so risky to just tap down here. I don't think we can afford to tap down. It's just incredibly risky. So we're telling our opponent we have nothing. We could play Teferi Tuck, but then Teferi just dies to his Prismatic Command, so that doesn't feel great either. We'll just cycle and make a 3/3. Opponent only has 1 blue though, so if counter spells are their game, then we might be okay. So a little bit choked on blue. I think we're going to have to sit back here. Feels bad because we're just sitting on 1 counter spell. If our opponent has like Indomitable Command and then into a counter spell, then we're kind of done. Indomitable Creativity, sorry. So here's hoping our opponent doesn't just go for it here, because I think we're a bit done if they do. We could always play Teferi Tuck, what they get. Could have probably correct a shock in the land as well, just to play around miscast. At least then our opponent won't have the option, because if the opponent has miscast here, then we feel really silly that we didn't just pay the 2 life. Also Mystical Dispute, I guess. Yeah. I think there's a good possibility our opponent had 2, but Yeah, I gotta hope our opponent doesn't hit an extra turn spell here. Okay, we have Torrential Gearhulks, yep. Okay, so I guess we're just casting Prismari Command. And I don't really know what we're doing. I guess draw to create a treasure. But yeah, it wasn't a bad hit. And we also have a Dovin's Veto up now. I guess we can discard a Searchrise Cantor. We have 3 cards in the graveyard. I'd rather guarantee that we hit a land drop next. Well, we hit a land drop for nothing, I guess. Yeah, we'll just discard 2 lands. Okay, so plan is, I guess land would have played around Miscast again, but opponent only has 1 mana up. So yeah, we'll land Tuck, attack with Torrential Gearhulk. Our Teferi's vulnerable, but we do have a Dovin's Veto up. Yeah, Transmogrify, not great to target us with. I'm really happy we left in the 1 Torrential Gearhulk. I like Dovin's Veto as well, just being able to stop anything our opponent does here. Yeah, I think going to stop that. Opponent's got 1 card, so it's unlikely they can combo with just the 1. It's not like they're playing Magma Opuses and they can just what's got a second one, and they can just hard cast Magma Opus. Did use up our only counter spell, but we do have a ton of counter spells in the list, so good chance we'll find one. I think we'll. If we cycle and make a 2/2 here, we tap down 4 mana, we'll untap. Yeah, we'll cycle and make a 2/2. Put lethal on board. If our opponent decides just to answer the 1 shark, then we've still got lethal. Because we've got our second one, but this gives us an opportunity to maybe... That's pretty good. To maybe find a counterspell if we need to, for whatever reason, cycle. We can cycle the Shark Typhoon for 0. Yeah, so we'll cycle the Shark Typhoon for 0. Unfortunately, no counterspell. So really got to hope our opponent doesn't hit an extra turn spell here. It says Vigilance, so... I mean, we'll let Teferi go here because there's not much we can do. But if our opponent just hits continuous back-to-back... okay, so opponent gets to just wipe our board. So, yeah, probably just out of it here. Now, kind of makes me regret not playing Searchrise Cantor last turn, but I think we have to put ourselves in a position where we can potentially answer what our opponent's got. We had a ton of different answers, but yeah, not much hope now. Yeah, tough game. I don't think we found enough counterspells for this matchup. We found 2. And we boarded in, I think, almost all of our Mystical Disputes. So take a 7. If our opponent hits an extra turn spell, it's over. Okay, no extra turn spell, so we can still hit a board wipe. Unless they drew 1 for turn. Yeah, I think that's still the case. They didn't have an extra turn spell in the graveyard. This is yeah. So we'll make the 1/1. Maybe it's an out blocking the 8/8, though our opponent can just Prismari Command anyway. Unfortunately, Memory Lapse doesn't do much. So we can Teferi tuck the dragon, but our opponent can just Prismari Command, finish off Teferi, and then draw back into it. So Wrath of God is it, I think. Again, don't have high hopes. So yeah, hoping our opponent doesn't top deck something. There was a turn in the game where we made a massive mistake of opponent's got lethal here. Yep. And then opponent just sacrificed his treasure. GG. There was a point where we made a mistake where we didn't play around miscast by playing our extra land. So yeah, I can't remember what the exact play was. I think it was Prismari Command actually. I think it was this game. Yeah, we cast an early Prismari Command and we didn't play around miscast. Was that this game? I think it was. But yeah, anyway, didn't do particularly well against this. Hopefully, can do better in future. This is a matchup where Grafdigger's Cage is quite a bit better than Rest in Peace. I guess Rest in Peace is actually okay. Our opponent's doing a bit of looping from the graveyard, but Prismari Command will answer Grafdigger's Cage anyway, so it's really difficult to keep it around. But yeah, on to the next game. Okay, we are on the draw against our opponent's Liliana sleeve, so we can only assume they are in black, so maybe we're going to be Fort seized early, but we're going to keep this anyway. Memory lapse early and then Narset for some card advantage. Hopefully going to be enough. We'll see. Oh, Orzhov confirmed. So Inquisition's going to take away probably its memory lapse, I'd imagine. Unless our opponent only has the 2 hand hate spells, in which case they just take the Narsets. Yeah, it makes sense. Not sure if we cycle this irrigated farmland or not. We'll see what our opponent's up to first. Yeah, I'll probably just Lightning Helix this, I would imagine. It's got Menace, so it's not like we could ambush it with the Shark Typhoon. Going to play out farmland as well. We definitely want to make sure we hit our land drops. And we can Lightning Helix something called Memory Lapse and then make a 2/2 Shark next turn. It's just a little bit more impactful. This sort of indicates our opponent might be on like a Orzhov midrange list. Yeah, Knight might be a suggestion of that as well. Yeah, unfortunately cannot Lightning Helix this. If our opponent pumps in combat, then we will Lightning Helix. If not, then end step will make a 2/2 Shark. We shall see. Yeah, we'll just make a 2/2. Looks like our opponent's on a mid-range list, so they might be on like Murderous Rider or something like that to take out the Shark. So we're now in a position where we'll probably leave back the Shark and we'll force our opponent to do something. And if our opponent's plan is to land into attack, we will block, they will pump, we will electrolyze, they will pump, we will Lightning Helix. And ultimately well, I guess we won't 2 for 1 ourselves because electrolyze replaces itself and Shark Typhoon replaces itself. But our opponent doesn't have the double land. They're still going to push themselves into making this play. Sweet. So that went through really quickly, so one can only assume that our opponent doesn't have anything. Yeah, and we'll just Lightning Helix this in the end step instead of playing around that because we don't have the double removal spell this time. Yeah, I'm more than happy to shock in. Should hopefully close the game pretty quickly now. Yeah, Torrential Gearhulk into like Lightning Helix here. Seems pretty good. Then we get to smack for 7. Holding up Memory Lapse. And then we're sitting on quite a comfortable 26. Opponent's going to scoop it up. I think it's going to be difficult for these mid-range creature matchups to compete with control. Sort of everything in the list is tailored to deal with what our opponent's up to. That being said, like maybe cast out something we want. I think we want the Wrath of God. What do we cut? Maybe Prismari Command. It does hit some of what our opponent's up to, but I assume they're not on that many artifacts. Yeah, I'm going to mulligan a hand about any islands. Probably seems right. Yeah, this hand's much more keepable. Probably just going to put this Torrential Gearhulk on the bottom. We have a second one, and our opponent's probably just going to force seize this out of our hand anyway. Yeah, unfortunately our opponent's going to get to a position where they get to pump their knight before we get to Prismari Command it. Yeah, that's a good one. Opponent's going to tax us out a little bit. So our opponent's plan is maybe to pump the knight so they just don't have to contribute any more to the board. Yeah, makes sense. Gonna take the hit and then we'll cycle Shark Typhoon next turn. And soak up the damage from knight then. And then I guess we'll Prismari Command on the following turn, shooting Thalia and then hopefully drawing into a board wipe. So it puts our opponent in a position where they can actually spend their mana this turn because they don't have to pump the knight. But yeah, we will shoot Thalia next turn and then draw. This shouldn't be an issue to answer. Okay, post-combat Rankle. Opponent may be scared of a counterspell there. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I guess. We could fall to 1 here. Maybe could have shot the Thalia beforehand and fallen to 3 instead. Opponent's just going to go to damage. Maybe scared of a removal spell. Guess we actually could have just been dead. Should have probably shot the Thalia beforehand, yeah. I always forget to factor in the Rankle, discard, or the draw and lose a life. Not sure what our opponent was playing around there, but clearly worried about something. So we'll deal 2 damage. And I guess we've got to be worried about the haste. I mean, we have to draw into a board wipe, don't we? So maybe we just draw and create a treasure, and that way, even if we don't find land, we can Wrath instead of taking out Thalia. So we'll draw, make a treasure. But we kind of had to find a board wipe or it is bust. But we're just dead to a Rankle on the next turn. So did find board wipe, got discard 2. Guess Teferi and Absorb. Yep. And then maybe we can get into a position where we can Torrential Gearhulk into Absorb and get ourselves a little bit more life. Yeah, we'll pay. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have Mana Tithe. That'd be really painful. But we're not going to play him around Mana Tithe when we haven't seen it. But yeah, dead to Rankle. Pretty much, I think, one of the only hasty things our opponent could have, maybe. Oh, rest in peace. Kind of wish I discarded this Gearhulk now. Glint Sleeve. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate. We can't block the Glint Sleeve. If we Teferi tuck the Glint Sleeve, then they can kill it with the Blink Moth. I think we'll just... Yeah, don't really want to just lose our Teferi. I think we're just Wrath of Godding here. Don't let our opponent draw another card. I guess they'll get to... You can make a 1-1 and then next turn make another 1-1, but then our opponent gets to hit us twice with Blink Moth. We'll just Wrath of God, I guess. I'm not sure if that's correct. Okay, the plan is our opponent hits us for 1 here and doesn't have anything, and then we can play to bury, hold Memory Lapse up. But it's asking a bit. Okay, so we're in the same position we were in last turn, apart from this time we're taking 1 damage. Okay, now we wish we held our Wrath of God. Yeah, I think that's gonna be game. We could potentially get 1 more draw. We'll play out land. See if our opponent goes for it. They might play around Settle the Wreckage. Yeah, they still might play around Settle the Wreckage. Looks like we're going to get an extra draw. Unless they have a removal spell here. They've got to play around Castle though, so it makes me think like they've got a removal spell here. Otherwise they would have attacked, yeah. Otherwise they'd have attacked with the Blink Moth Nexus, makes sense. But sweet, okay, so they managed to pull it out. We got taxed a little bit and it slowed us down just enough for them to catch up, and then the Rest in Peace hit us a bit hard. With Rest in Peace, does that make us think we want to maybe take out the Torrential Gear Hulks? I think maybe they're fine still. Like, Flash 5/6 is still okay if our opponent's Rest in Peace. If they haven't Rest in Peace, then we get something back. Yeah, I like this hand, but we can always cycle Shark Typhoon early if we need something else to do. Hopefully our opponent doesn't go like tax effect into tax effect and just lock us out. In my experience, normally I have quite a good matchup against these lists. Let's play tap land. Could represent like Lightning Helix or any number of things. No, Memory Lapse. I guess like Four.Vs into Take or Electrolyze is a little bit bad. Okay, so Torrential Gear Hulk's a bit shut down. But we're not really that worried about Torrential Gear Hulk. Like I said, 6 mana, 5/6 flash is still okay if our opponents use the card and Rest in Peace. And we're really not worried about Searcher's Canter. Okay, so opponents chose not to pump here. I agree, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Okay, so I think I just like stop this. And then just electrolyze the knight. It's quite annoying the elite Spellbinder with Shark Typhoon, because if they take Shark Typhoon, we can't cycle Shark Typhoon from exile. Yeah, I think we've got enough life that we can just wait a little bit. Maybe we should have held the Sacred Foundry just to represent something. Our opponent's got perfect information now. Maybe they're just going to sit back for a few turns. Sort of inclined to board wipe, maybe. So we're just going to... Our opponent's shown us they're not going to do anything. So just looking for some sort of value. We are at the mercy of our top deck now, but we have a lot of good top decks, and I think our opponent's a bit under... I think our opponent's put under more pressure than we're under at the moment. I know they're hitting us, but it only takes one good top deck from us to be able to get back in it. Our opponent's hitting us for 2 a turn. Next turn we'll cast Shark Typhoon. Yeah, we have a lot of live draws. Even most of our lands cycle. We've got 6 or 7 lands in the list that cycle. I think our opponent's plan is to say answer this Blink Moth before I do anything else. Oh, nice. Doesn't feel good trading 8 mana for 2. Our opponent now has an opportunity to get around this memory lapse. But I don't think we can just keep taking 2. Maybe we do. Maybe the answer is to play around a removal spell on the Shark Typhoon. Yeah, because now I've only got to resolve some bits. So hoping to hit a board wipe here, I think. So I think electrolyze the knight, maybe. Could take lightning helix. I think we electrolyze just because it replaces itself. Unfortunately, we can't hold up memory lapse, which is annoying. But yeah, I think we take out the knight just because it's more pressure right now. But yeah, the knight is really threatening. Yeah, I think with Narset really wanting to hit a board wipe there, that would have been quite nice. Then Narset would have survived this attack. Not that it matters too much. Because I don't think our opponent really cares about drawing cards in their turn. They can just draw with the Castle Lockthwain in our turn. So I assume our opponent hits us for 2, hits Narset down. And then I guess we're holding up Torrential Gear Hulk to take out this Thalia. Yeah, I guess we'll just pass the turn and we'll Torrential. Opponent's done quite a number on us with this Blink Moth. We do have a ton of answers to it though with Lightning Helix and Prismari Command, Electrolyze. So I've got a ton of things we can kill with it. I think our opponent's running Heartless Acts, which is maybe a little bit of a concern, but we do have the Memory Lapse, so our opponent knows about it. Don't know if our opponent wants to use it now. Yeah, I think we've got to try and protect our Torrential here if we can. Again to take out the Thalia here and then swing back, and we get 2 draws on our turn as well. Hopefully, been quite nice. So we'll cycle and see what we draw. Just looking for anything relevant, basically. Deck doesn't want to give it to us, but anything relevant will be nice. We're putting ourselves dangerously close to dying to a Rankle here. Opponent could take out the Torrential Gear Hulk now. Do it. Yeah, we've drawn a lot of lands. Yeah, so really close to dying to a Rankle here. Assume our opponent just makes us discard here. We take 4. Yeah, got to draw something relevant this turn. We've drawn a lot of lands this game. But there's all of our relevant spells that we've drawn. Prismari Command is a good one. How do we want to do this? I guess Command can't... The Spirit can't block anything anyway. Is it better to take the hit from Rankle, or is it... Because Wrath of God answers Rankle, but it doesn't answer the Blink Moth. But if we gain 3 life, I guess it doesn't matter too much. So we'll just maybe create the 3/2. Or maybe we just shoot Rankle for 3, sacrifice Narset, and draw 2. And we'll do that now in case we hit something. So, shoot Rankle, we'll gain life. I mean, Lorehold's Command, like, it was a new card we put into the list, and here it's one of the best cards we could have drawn, actually. Getting to replace itself, and some getting to gain us a bit of life and answer what our opponent's got. I think that's single-handedly going to bring us back into the game. Maybe it's correct to not sack the Narset. Maybe we should have sacked a land instead, so our opponent can't answer, activate Lockthwain. We're going to cast Torrential Gearhulk, I think, here, and go for the Lightning Helix on the next turn. Just take 2. Just so we can close the game a turn quicker. Whew, yeah, that's a good one. Feel confident about position now. 6 points of burn in hand. Opponent's got to be careful here. Yeah, it was looking a little bit dicey for a while, but we did draw a ton of lands. So yeah, we'll just Lightning Helix this. There is an option as well to Lightning Helix our opponent, but we've got the other Lightning Helix-esque effect in hand. I wonder if we want to... I think maybe just Lightning... put the extra pressure into play, but I wonder if we just want to... Because it wouldn't actually kill our opponent. I think we might actually sacrifice. I don't know if this is correct or not. But if our opponent has a removal spell here... Sacrifice an island. If our opponent has a removal spell here, then we don't get to kill them. I guess Cycle Shark Typhoon still doesn't kill them. Opponent's going to need multiple things back to back here to stay alive, though. Yeah, I mean, gaining all that life was pretty good. Yeah, and we'll go for it. Maybe it's correct to take out the Torrential Gearhulks. I mean, they did okay here. Like, flashing in and blocking the Thalia was quite good. But, yeah, Rest in Peace sort of shut them down a little bit. Sweet. So, yeah, it looked a little bit dicey, but like I said, we drew a lot of lands. But we managed to get them in the end with the new inclusion of Lorehold Command. But, yeah, nice. Okay, so Jeskai Control on the play in Historic Best of 3, and this is game 5, so last one of our streak climbing the ladder to see how we get on. I think this hand might be a little bit too slow. If this Search for Scanter gets Four.Vs, then we are in big trouble, and there's no guarantee we'll hit our third land drop. If one of these lands were an untapped land and we could play Search for Scanter on turn 2, then I'd think very differently about this hand, because we could scry with the Ascanter to potentially hit our third land drop. But as it goes, I think this is going to be a little bit too slow. So we'll mulligan this away. I think this hand's a lot better, as it always goes, and put this Torrential Gearhulk on the bottom. It wouldn't be Magic without a good mulligan. Okay, let's get these tap lands out. Okay, so like a mono-black aggro list, maybe. If opponent doesn't Four.Vs, this Electrolyze is looking good in this Dread Wanderer. Maybe they play another one, get super lucky. 2/1 toughness creatures. This is what I signed up for. I'm not even going to do this an end step. I think it's worth saving the 5 life. Yeah, I'm not going to... We'll just save 5 life. Opponent's already made the land drop, so they can't cast the Skyclave again. Not sure what they take here. I would imagine maybe Shark Typhoon. But yeah, Electrolyze just feels so strong when you get to kill 2 creatures of it and replace it. Okay, okay, so they already made their land drop, so that was fine. Yeah. We'll play this hand. Yeah, so Skyclave comes back. I guess we slowed our opponent down and took 2 damage off the table. Oh, maybe this is another one? This is one they cast in their hand? Yes? I think we just slow them down here. Just gain the life back. I know it feels bad because it's like they get to cast it again next turn. Takes Torrential here, maybe. I think Torrential Gearhulk makes sense. I don't know if we counter here. The opponent maybe, yeah, has land. I think if they maybe kick it, we counter. But there's no reason for them to kick it. They just play it and then get back the Dread Wanderer. I think the Dread Wanderer is 1 or fewer. If our opponent's just a mono black aggro list, then like we probably just want to gain the life. Yeah, we'll just gain the life. It's entirely like this could not be correct. It's entirely plausible. But yeah, if we didn't counter and our opponent gets back the Dread Wanderer there, just we're taking a lot more damage and we're stuck with a counter spell in hand. Equally, our opponent gets to kick. This would go to countered Rankle maybe. Opponent just makes his discard here, I assume. Sweet. So we're looking for a board wipe. Nope. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, good game. We have the necessary tools to fight this list between Rest in Peace and Grafdigger's Cage. Wrath and Cast Out. What do we want to cut in this matchup? Guess that Torrential Gearhold gets a lot worse. Cut that. Our counter spells don't feel good. Maybe like Memory Lapse actually feels okay countering their Skyclave Shade if they bring it back and we can put it back on top. Means they're not drawing a land on the next turn for anything else they got in the graveyard. Just trim on our counter spells. I think Shark Typhoon is going to be okay at closing the game. Yeah, maybe just cut the Memory Lapses. I kind of want to keep all the removal we've got. Okay, so on the play, hoping that our opponent does not have a turn 1 Thoughtseize or Inquisition. But provided they don't, this Rest in Peace comes down, and I think it's going to be difficult for our opponent to answer this. Yeah, outside of... I guess we'll shock this turn, because we're going to... Well, there's a high probability we'll have to shock next turn. But if we don't shock next turn, then it maybe tells our opponent that like you don't have anything. But if we play an untapped land this turn, and then shock next turn, it tells your opponent, or you must have like a counter spell or something. So we'll just shock now. Our opponent could have the 2-mana sorcery that destroys a non-land permanent, and you take damage equal to a CMC. I can't remember the name of it. I'll pop it up on screen now. Okay, so I assume we just pass turn here. If our opponent pumps, we Prismari Command. We've done this already in a previous list we played against today. So we'll deal 2 damage and create a treasure, since we're not really worried about drawing and discarding. We've got the Narset. Probably not going to Narset though, we'll just hold up Absorb. Is that right? Yeah, I feel like just holding up Absorb. Kind of want to draw 1 more land before we play Narset, so we can Narset plus hold up Absorb. Though our opponent could just like Faithless Slave in here and just beat us down with that. Yeah, it's going to be an effective tactic as well. But yeah, we get to play Narset here, and we'll tick down Narset. Try and get some value. Maybe it buys us 4 life as well. Yeah. So we can go another Narset trying to find like a Lightning Helix. But I think Shark Typhoon probably. Shark Typhoon can at least like block this Faithless Haven. I think I actually just want to cycle it for 1 here. Hope our opponent doesn't have a removal spell. This doesn't have Trample, does it? No, just Vigilance. Block. And then we get another activation with Narset, but we also got the card off of Shark Typhoon at the same time, so it was okay. Lightning Helix is excellent. Lorehold Command is great as well. I think we just might want to command. Our opponent didn't have a removal spell there, or at least it wasn't an instant speed removal spell. Could just command right now. shoot the knight, get to make a 3/3. And then the 3/3 can block the Faithless Haven. And if our opponent answers our 3/2 somehow, then we've got Lightning Helix at least. We can Teferi tick up, shoot with Lightning Helix, and whatnot. So I'll just discard one of our absorbs here. Maybe just want to, if our opponent doesn't animate, maybe just Lightning Helix the... Oh, okay, that makes our decision a bit easier. These are probably just Lightning Helix the Rankle here. We'll see what they get up to first, but maybe absorb. Yeah, I think we just let our opponent let this go, because we want to do something this turn, and I don't want to counter and absorb. If we had the one Lightning Helix, it'd probably Lightning Helix Rankle in response. But our opponent knows what's up. Okay, so our opponent's going to make us discard. Discard a Wrath of God and Lightning Helix. Exiles our graveyard, but obviously Rest in Peace is already doing that. So yeah, we'll just keep our Teferi healthy. Shoot Rankle here, and then we've got the 3/2 to block the Faithless Haven. And yeah, Lorehold's Command doing really well. Quite a bit of work here. Okay, we're just going to activate here. Play tap land. We're not going to attack. We'll sit back. I guess no point. Untap. Untap? And we'll just start making 1/1s. Yeah, and unless our opponent can answer Teferi in the next few draws, then feels good. Yeah, I was waiting for our opponent maybe to activate their Castle Locthwain and it not work with Narset, but they're too smart for that. So, I think the plan worked out pretty well. Our opponent knows we've got Rest in Peace now, though, so there's a good chance that they will have an answer to that. So, hopefully it works out. But then again, our opponent went down to 2 cards in hand, and we didn't see a single card that cared about the graveyard. So, there's a good chance that maybe they boarded them out. Maybe they didn't see them. But it looks like a pretty standard mono blacklist, so we'll just run it back. Yeah, I like Rest in Peace, and hopefully our opponent doesn't have a Four.Vs. Good chance we'll probably cycle this cast out, because I really do want to hit our land drops. Okay, so opponent didn't board out their graveyard synergy pieces. But I presume our opponent, especially knowing about Rest in Peace, they don't want to Four.Vs turn 1. They can Four.Vs turn 2. Okay, no they don't. I'm going to get down the Rest in Peace just to protect it. We'll take the damage. We can Prismari Command next turn. Shoot like the Skyclave. Make a treasure. Maybe ramp ourselves a little bit. Then we've got Lightning Helix. We'll see. Ooh, Spawn's a good one. Kind of inclined to... We'll see what our opponent's up to. I don't know. There's a few different things we can do here. Okay, so our opponent's just going for the attack. So we're taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we'll be setting ourselves up to die on the Faithless Haven on the next turn. So if we just took 6 instead, then we can wipe the board away, and then hopefully, I don't know. I think maybe Prismari Command. I'm just hoping that we draw land, an untapped land, because if we don't draw an untapped land with this Prismari Command, we're dead. So maybe the other option is to Lightning Helix here, the Skyclave, and then cycle the cast out. And then if we miss, at least we have Prismari Command again to maybe go again next turn. But we're gaining the extra life from the Lightning Helix, that buys us a bit of time. But if we get rid of the Lightning Helix, then we don't have an answer to Faithless Haven. So the option is we Prismari Command as well, and we create a treasure instead, and then we're guaranteed to hit a land drop for this Wrath of God next turn. It's like, do you put faith that there's an untapped land in the top 3 draws? And I don't think I'm going to put faith in that. We'll save the most amount of damage and we'll create a treasure. Because if there's just not a land in the top few draws, then we're struggling. I also just don't want to be dead to this Faithless Haven next turn. Okay, opponents make us discard 2 cards. Not the end of the world. We'll discard, I guess, Cast Out and Shark Typhoon? Maybe Teferi? Kind of need Teferi to catch us back up, but Shark Typhoon will block a creature, so maybe just get rid of Teferi. We'll find another win condition. Okay, so yeah, we'll just Wrath the board. Fortunately, we don't die to a Rankle. Yep, so take our 4. Discard Electrolyze, I think. No, we're hanging in there. Okay, so we would have found a land, which is interesting to know. We will wait for our opponent to go to combat as well, because they might go to combat not activating the Faithless Haven. Interesting what we shoot here as well. I think it is the Haven to put our opponent off of a land. At the same time, we take one more... I guess actually we take the same man. I guess if the Rankle hits us, we lose the Shark Typhoon. So we do hit Rankle. Kind of need the Shark Typhoon for next turn. It looks like our opponent might be tapped down that turn as well. The alternative was exactly if we drew Wrath of God. Because now we don't have a solid answer as Faithless Haven. Opponent might be and ah in here as to what's the best course of action. We're like dangerously close to stabilizing. We need to draw some life gain. Yeah, okay, so opponent's probably gone with the... Do they have a Lightning Helix? And the answer is no. I guess we're at the point in the game where if we draw a Cast Out, we'd want to cycle it. So may as well just go for 1. Okay, I guess our out is us draw 2 and create a treasure. And draw into exactly Lightning Helix. That doesn't even work now. Oh yeah, it does. We can shoot our opponent, I guess. So we'll draw 2, create a treasure. And then we have to draw exactly Lightning Helix. And we get to shoot our opponent with it, and no. So yeah, discard these 2. And then our opponent gets to reanimate and GG. Sweet, so super close game. Mono black aggro there. Rest in Peace did a really good job, but our opponent just hit the board really quickly, came in. We struggled a little bit of hitting our land drops as well. Like the Prismari Command, I took the safe bet and we ended up not hitting our lands for it. And had we have just drawn a little bit extra, we would have drawn into the Wrath and seen that was available. So I think these matchups we saw earlier us play against an Orzhov sort of Taxes. And I feel like the Orzhov Taxes is a harder matchup than this. So we definitely have the capability to win this. It's just the way the cards fell. That's magic. That's how it goes. But yeah, let's move on to the wrap-up. Howdy guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching some more Jeskai Control. There's a reason we did Jeskai on the channel before we did Azorius or any other Control video, and it's because I am loving Jeskai with the new set. With Strixhaven came a load of new cards, and I think they've done a lot to Jeskai, and in somewhat, some could argue, it has made the list playable. Normally before Strixhaven came out and before the Mystical Archive cards, I was a big advocate, as was many people, saying that you don't need the red, just play Azorius, it's a more consistent deck. But I think adding the inconsistency of red just makes the deck more fun, first of all, and I genuinely think to some extent more powerful. So there's a few cards to consider. The first one being Lightning Helix is one of the easiest to assess, I think. This is a straight up include, and I think it's always a 4 of. There's no reason not to be running Lightning Helix in this list. It does excellent. One of the games, well, we played against 3 aggro lists, and the Gruul aggro, you saw what happens. It's just, yeah, Lightning Helix can shut down Gruul. It can buy you so much time, just crucial turns that you need. We played against a mono black aggro list and a Orzhov aggro list, sort of taxes list, and Lightning Helix just outperform. It does so well. It's just not just a removal spell. The game free life is just so relevant, something that Jeskai really needs. On the back of that, Lorehold command was something that I've added in, and one of the reasons that I actually wanted to play Jeskai today for you. And yeah, when I looked at this, I didn't even realize this was an actual card till I saw this. And 5 mana instant, yeah, you get to make a body, and then quite often you're also Lightning Helixing. So make a 3/2 and Lightning Helix for 5 mana, which is surprisingly strong, especially when you compare it with Gear Hulks. But you saw in one of the matchups actually sacrificing a permanent and drawing 2 cards does come up, and it is relevant. You can obviously combine that with Prismari command. We mentioned that earlier as well, which is somewhat combo, but not really, just little things, the synergies that go together. But yeah, Lorehold's command, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, whether you think this card is playable overall. I feel like maybe it is. It's not dead in any matchup, really. A lot of matchups you play this, it's going to be a card. Either your opponent's going to counter this because they think, I don't want to take 3 damage, you gain 3, and you also get a body out of that, or you can draw cards at the same time. Or in an aggro matchup or mid-range matchup, it's hopefully going to kill something and then apply pressure or trade with something at instant speed. So I think Lorehold command might be a legitimate card. I don't know, let me know what you think. Maybe you need Torrential Gearhulk to make it work. I'm somewhat certain that you don't need more than, let's say, 3 copies. I think 3 might be pushing it. I didn't want to see this all the time, and a lot of the time, even though we're running 27 lands, just show you as well, just make sure, running 27 lands, we do struggle to hit our 3rd land drop a lot of the time, even through mulligans. But that's one of the reasons that Prismari Command is in the list. I find, like, this card is a bit like, I said this in the first Jeskai video we played, and in the Is It video, it's a bit, like, it's just a bit, all of the modes for Prismari Command feel really, or Is It Command, however you want to call this, Strixhaven sets and that, the colleges. I think all of the modes of it are a bit like underpowerful, like shocking your opponent for 3 mana just doesn't feel great. Or a creature, draw 2, discard 2, okay, Faithless Looting for 3 mana, create a treasure token. Destroying an artifact is pretty good in the matchups where your opponents are on artifacts as creatures or relevant artifacts, just because you're really getting some value if you can 2-for-1 your opponent with this. But yeah, being able to draw and hit our land drops, fill our graveyard for Searchers Cancer and Torrential Gearhulk, maybe ramp us a little bit with the treasure token. I could definitely see a matchup. I can definitely see a world where we go Lightning Helix turn 2 against Gruul, Prismari command, shoot one of your things, create a treasure token into Lorehold command. And maybe we want more Lorehold command in the board just so we can curve out like that. That could be a suggestion. Yeah, so Prismari command's like, okay. We did actually get to demonstrate, I was really happy, the Narset Prismari command. Little tiny little combo against Gruul where your opponent basically doesn't get another draw. And you even saw in combination with Memory Lapse, when you put your opponent's card back on top of the library of Memory Lapse, you make them draw in their upkeep, they have to discard it straight away. And if you have multiple more commands, your opponent's just not getting another draw. That's it. They're locked out of the game entirely, which is really fun, and it's the most control you can really take of a game, apart from, I guess, land destruction, maybe. But yeah, Prismari command, probably good with Narset, but maybe not so good with Narset, without Narset. Electrolyze, I was running 3 of these in the original list. I cut 1 because we had to make room for so many different cards. I still think this is really good. In the mono black matchup that we just played, like getting a 2-for-1 for this, or 3-for-1 even, you answer 2 of your opponent's creatures and then you get to draw a card to even replace itself, is just insane value. But that being said, Electrolyze isn't great in all matchups. There's quite a few matchups where you're going to play Electrolyze and it's just going to feel, you're shocking your opponent for 3 mana and placing itself. It's just not quite good enough. But that being said, there's a ton of matchups, maybe like Arclight Phoenix or something, where you could like ping a Narset or finish off a Brazen Borrower, things like that. So it's definitely relevant. I don't know if we want to go down a Wrath of God. Maybe it's worth like cutting one of them commands. They're just too cute, and go back up to the 4th Wrath. There were still a lot of situations where we wanted a board wipe and we just couldn't find one. And maybe that is just a direct result of taking one out. So that could be a suggestion, but do let me know what you think in the comments down below. As for other things on the list, we played Torrential Gearhulk. There was a few times that we did miss with Narset and Searchers Cancer, which was always a concern when adding Torrential Gearhulk in. It's one of the reasons I haven't included Torrential Gearhulk until now, but Torrential Gearhulk is all the craze in Historic at the moment, and we all know about the Izzet list that's going around with Magma Opus, Torrential Gearhulk. So I thought we'll give it inclusion in Jeskai and see how it does with Lorehold command and like Lightning Helix, and in my opinion it's good. It's good. It's a good card to include. I think the number of Teferis are playing as well is probably somewhat right. I really didn't think like we needed Teferi a lot of the time. Between Searchers Cantor and Narset, we just have quite a bit of card advantage, and then we can always cycle our stuff with Prismari Command, and Torrential Gearhulk just wham closes the game super quickly. And then you'd be surprised how many lists at the moment in Historic are dealing damage to themselves. So a lot of the time between our, 2 Loreholds command, 2 Electrolyzers, 4, 5, 6, 7 Prismari command, 11 with Lightning Helix, 11 burn spells we have in the list. And Loreholds command obviously counts as a 3-2 at the same time. And Shark Typhoon and Torrential Gearhulk were definitely capable of turning the corner really quickly if our opponent deals a bit of damage to themselves. But yeah, that is Jeskai Control. A lot to say on it. It's one of my favourite lists at the moment. We're probably going to be coming back with Azorius soon because Azorius is super, super fun. I have had a few suggestions in the comments of previous videos for Grixis. That has been something that people have said they really want to see. So I'm going to try and make Grixis next. It'll either be Grixis or Azorius, but it really much depends on how Grixis is built. If you've got any ideas for how to build a Grixis control list, then please do let me know, because out of all the different colour combinations, I feel like Grixis is one of the hardest to build. And I don't really know how many new cards Grixis got. Like, it got some new cards, like Prismari Command and Electrolyze, but not too many. So I guess we'll see. Maybe we're going down the Magma Opus route. Maybe we can try that with Grixis. And we're definitely going to give Izzet a go soon again. And we're going to try the Magma Opus Torrential Gearhulk combo, because I think that's probably how we're playing Izzet. The Izzet controllers didn't do too well on the channel that just passed. So yeah, we definitely want to give that a go. And I am fully aware we missed out on Niv Mizzet. Why did we not include Niv Mizzet Reborn in our lists? 6 mana, cannot be countered, draw an infinite number of cards, ping your opponent an infinite amount of times. We should have included this. So yeah, we should be including this with Electrolyze and Prismari Command. I feel like that might be a really, really fun combo. But that's it. That's all of the updates on the channel. That is what's happening at the moment, what's excited and what you can look forward to, and my thoughts about the lists going forward. So a ton of things to look forward to. More Jeskai, more Azorius, more Grixis, and we're definitely going to give this Dimir list a go again as well. So tons and tons of different stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. We ended up going 3 and 2. That is Jeskai Control. So until next time, stay safe.